now it's online. How can you give that quality when all the participants has the camera off? Margaret, have you been in have you had that experience? Because it's quite often happens.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll tell you, I always start my sessions with good housekeeping rules. And I make a kind of a joke, and if there's a song and dance, I always describe the way I do things, the way I work at the beginning for people who don't know me, that I use humor and I like to provoke people sometimes. And I need to see a physical reaction. So I ask them to keep their mics off and their cameras on. And if they need to do something, if the dog is running around in the room, or you need to change the child's nappy, okay, turn your camera off. Otherwise, I would like to see your pretty or your handsome face. And actually, I keep my promise about provoking people. If somebody consistently has their camera off, I will write to them and say, can I help you with something? Is there a problem? And then often people don't react because, of course, this is something that is different. The name is there, but the person is actually, weeding the garden, or I don't know, talking to their mother-in-law, or doing an online course at the same time as they're supposed to be at the workshop. And so I try to keep track of people. Now, I don't, insist on it, but I personally need the interaction. I need to see how people react to me. I also need to see how people react to other people. It's very, very important to me, but I can cope with just, the black space and the name, if it's not too many. If there are too many on the screen, then I address the issue and say, okay, let's stop here. Let's find out what's going on. But I'm also aware, I work with people all over the world. There are people from Asia and Africa, and I'm also aware of, the issue with, bandwidth and all of these things. But we always clarify these things beforehand. I invest a lot of time beforehand to find out, before we actually even get onto the screen, to find out what the situation is.
So John, do you keep as well housekeeping before, or have you been in a situation that there are not cameras, you cannot see the participants and you have to deliver? How do you deal with that? What kind of tips you can give us?
Like Margaret, I always invite people to turn on the camera. I just say it's just nicer experience. But then I don't after that, it's up to them. And many times people will leave it off. And I just decided long ago, I thought, look, people are going to do what they're going to do. It's the same that, when you're speaking live to an audience in the same room, and if somebody is on the cell phone here, I'm not going to be telling people don't go on your cell phone, because I don't know, maybe their child is sick, or maybe they're waiting for a very important email. All I can control, I think, is how I perform. So if nobody has the camera on, what I learned, in fact, I don't look as often at the screen anymore. I talk here to the camera. I look at the camera. At the beginning of COVID, I found it very difficult to remind myself to keep looking at the camera. So I did what I tell people, I think this is my best analog tip that I can give people in a digital age. If you have trouble talking to the camera, is I took a Post-it note, this one, in fact, and I put an arrow on it, and I just stuck it next to my camera. And it reminded me to always be talking to the camera. And what I try and do is, well, not try, I do, before every session, I will do a physical warm-up. I get the energy going, and then I just try and come into the session with as much energy as I possibly can, because, and I think this is a really important insight for people, I think the majority of online presentations and trainings are still not done well. I think the bar is still relatively low. So if you make that extra effort to have the energy and to be engaging, and we can get into the different ways to engage the audience, but if you start doing these things, you can make a difference, you can make an impact. So, but you're right, it's never as easy online, but what we are doing now, this is now going to be a feature of the world going forward. Even post-pandemic, online trainings are here to stay. They're not going away. So people need to get comfortable with them.